Title: What the Silence Concealed. She never imagined that her life could collapse in a matter of minutes. Evelyn had been married to Dennis for 13 years, a man she loved with every fiber of her being. May, recognized doctor, exemplary father, attentive husband, or at least that's what he believed. His story was, in everyone's eyes, perfect. Trips, dinners, a house with a garden, and 2 children who were the center of his universe. Poirot's secrets do not remain buried forever, and there are truths that, when they come to light, break more than just the heart. It all began with an anonymous call, a trembling female voice. Poirot decided, "Evelyn, I'm sorry, I can't keep quiet. He has another family, another life." And he hung up. Evelyn remained silent. First came the denial, then the trembling in her hands, and después, the chaos. For hours, Evelyn tried to convince herself that it was a sick joke. Dennis? The man who prepared her coffee every morning? The one who sent her "I love you" messages in the middle of the day? Ah, tener otra familia? But the doubts began to grow like poisonous roots, and Evelyn, with her heart in her throat, did the unthinkable. She checked Dennis's phone. There they were. Messages, photos, with conversations. A woman named Julia, and the worst, a 3-year-old girl who called him dad. The world came crashing down on him. When Dennis arrived that night, Evelyn looked at him with a mixture of pain and fury that he had never seen before. "What did you do, Dennis?" she asked without tears, with a calmness that hurt more than screams. He tried to deny it. He stumbled over his own words. But before the evidence, as there was no escape, it was a mistake. I didn't want it to happen. I didn't know how to stop it, she whispered. And the girl? Was that a mistake too? Dennis remained silent. That night, Evelyn didn't sleep. She walked P or the bare house, as if trying to find answers in the walls. He remembered each promise, each anniversary, each lie. The love was still there, but broken, shattered. During the following weeks, Entes, Evelyn pretended normalcy for the children. She woke up, prepared breakfast, took the little ones to school, answered messages as if nothing had happened. But inside, she felt empty. "Yeah," Dennis begged. He cried. He said he was willing to leave Julia, that he only loved her. "I don't want to lose you, Evelyn. I was a coward, but you are my home," he said again and again. And at that moment, Evelyn thought of forgiving him. For the children, for the years, for everything they had lived through. But something inside her was no longer the same. One afternoon, Evelyn went to the park with her children. There she saw a young man with a little girl. She recognized her instantly, Julia. The girl ran towards Evelyn without knowing who she was, and in her innocence, she said, "Do you also know my daddy?" Evelyn felt a lump in her stomach. Julia tried to pull her away, but Evelyn had already seen enough. The girl had the same eyes as Dennis. That night, Evelyn made a decision, not for revenge, not for pride, but for love. Own. I waited for Dennis to arrive and sat him down in front of her. "You broke me, Dennis, but you also opened my eyes." "Evelyn, please." "No, no more please. No more lies. I chose you for years, but you also chose her. I choose myself now." And with a broken but firm voice, he asked her to leave, that she faced the consequences of her double life. The first months, they were hell. Tears were her daily bread. But with time, Evelyn began to rebuild herself. She took therapy, returned to painting something she had left years ago, and found a new version of herself, stronger, clearer, freer. Dennis tried to return. He told her that Julia no longer meant anything, that he was willing to start again. But Evelyn was no longer the same that trembled with fear and doubts. She was a woman who loved herself enough not to accept crumbs. "You broke our home, Dennis, and although I still love you, I know I deserve better." 1 year later, Evelyn walked along the beach on her first solo trip. The sun caressed her face, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel empty. She felt peace. There, between the sand and the wind, met someone. He wasn't a Prince Charming or a movie story. He was just a kind man who smiled at her without knowing anything about her past. And for the first time, Evelyn smiled back. What the Silence Fell, Part 2, narrated A year had passed since Evelyn closed the door on Dennis. There were days when it still hurt, but it no longer paralyzed her. She had learned to live with the scars, to turn them into symbols of her strength. The broken woman who used to cry at night was gone. Now she was someone who dared to dream again. But life, capricious as ever, did not. I'm going to put tests. During a vacation on the coast, Evelyn met Noah, a travel photographer staying at the same boutique hotel where she was staying. Their first encounter was accidental. He tripped over his wine glass in the hotel restaurant. Between apologies and nervous laughter, they began to talk. And that conversation lasted for hours. Noah had a different story. No, he was not a man who came to save her, nor someone who sought something fleeting. He was honest, calm, and above all, patient. He did not pressure her. He did not ask her for anything. He was simply present, and that was enough for her. Evelyn began to open the door that she had sealed with so much pain. She returned home with something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. During the following months, Evelyn and Noah kept in contact. Calls, messages, video calls, full of laughter and complicity. He traveled twice to see her, and on both occasions, he was respectful of her time, her children, and her silences. She felt safe, vista, valued. But just when the present was beginning to heal the past, Dennis reappeared. One Saturday afternoon, he knocked on the door, unannounced. He carried flowers in one hand and a box with drawings of the children on the other. Evelyn looked at him coldly. "What do you want, Dennis?" "To tell you that I still love you, that I was wrong, that every day without you is a sentence." She took a deep breath. "You're late, Dennis." He tried to enter, but Evelyn did not allow him. The children were with their mother that weekend, so there were no interruptions. "I took care of you for 13 years, Dennis, and you betrayed me with a lie, which lasted more than 3. Now that I'm rebuilding my life, do you come to interrupt it? Are you with someone else?" he asked, hurt. "Yes," she replied without hesitation. The truth fell like a hammer low. Dennis left without saying a word, but days later, he began sending messages, showing up unannounced, calling their mutual friends. He even talked to the children about the possibility of that mom and dad get back together. Evelyn felt anger, not for herself, but for the manipulation. And then, she did something that cost her, but that she knew was necessary. She set legal limits. She hired a lawyer and established clear rules about visits, schedules, and contact. Dennis exploded. He told her that she had become cold, that Noah had changed her. But it wasn't Noah. It was her. The woman who before was silent for love now spoke for dignity. With time, Noah got to know his children. Evelyn never forced them. It was a slow process, full of respect. The children felt come ways, and that was what moved her the most. One night, while the 3 of them were watching a movie on the sofa, her youngest daughter approached and whispered in her ear, "Mommy, I like how Noah looks at you. It shows that he loves her well." Evelyn could not help but cry, because that simple phrase contained everything she had been looking for. Noah was not perfect. He had his fears, his past, his mistakes. But he loved her well, without secrets. O's, without lies, without double lives. He loved her as she deserved to be loved. The closing of this stage came a year later, when Evelyn, without hatred or resentment, met with Dennis in a cafe to talk. For the last time. "I want you to be happy, Dennis." "Really, but not with me." "Do you still love me?" he asked. "I loved you so much that I forgot about myself. Today, finally, I love myself more." He nodded. This time, without arguing, and he left. Evelyn watched him leave and felt peace. Not for what she lost, but for all that she had gained. Self-love, truth, freedom, and the certainty that what the silence, Io was silent. Today, it can finally be told with pride. Part 2. What the Silence Concealed. Part 3. Final. Narrated in the third person. Almost 2 years had passed since that first call that broke. It shattered Evelyn's life. And yet, today, she walked with a different smile. Not the smile of someone who has everything, but the smile of someone who survived losing everything and still chose to love again. Her relationship with Noah had consolidated over time. She had been patient with his wounds, sweet with his children, and brave to build something new without erasing the past. Evelyn didn't need a Salvador, and he never tried to be. He was just a man who was willing to walk with her step by step. One April afternoon, while strolling through a local art market with the children, Noah, Tom, he took her hand and said, "Do you remember when I told you I would like to photograph you in your favorite place in the world?" Evelyn smiled. "Of course. And I told you that I didn't know that place yet. I think I already found it." "Entrust," he whispered. "What if I tell you that I want us to build that place together?" Evelyn looked at him confused for a second, then Noah knelt down. The people around them stopped. The children, their eyes widened, and he, with a voice trembling with emotion, said to her, "I don't want a perfect story. I want a real life with you, with good days, bad days, and everything that comes. Evelyn, will you marry me?" Tears fell before she could answer. Because it wasn't just a yes. It was a yes to life, to trusting again, to loving without fear. Yes, Noah. 1,000 times yes. The wedding was simple, surrounded only by the closest ones. It was celebrated in an open field at sunset with hanging lights, wildflowers, and sincere laughter. Evelyn's children walked beside her while L.A. was approaching Noah. She wasn't a bride starting from scratch. She was a woman with a history, with scars, and with a new opportunity in her hands. During the vows, Evelyn said something that made someone cry to everyone. "You didn't save me, Noah. You arrived when I had finally saved myself. But you taught me that love, true love, doesn't hurt, it heals." Dennis was not invited. He was no longer part of her love story. He was still the father of her children, and Evelyn respected that. But she no longer lived in the past. Months later, Evelyn stood before the sea, with her bare feet in the sand. Noah was taking photos of the children playing. The sun was beginning to set, and Evelyn closed her eyes and smiled, not because of what she had lost, but because of everything she had learned, and she began a new life, and they lived happily. End.